This is a fan-generated show. If you would like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com, and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All your support is greatly appreciated.
Good evening. Welcome to the Glazov Gang. Tonight, Jimmy Carter endorses John Bolton pick. What an honor and a privilege to have, back by popular demand, from the Freedom Center, the Shillman Fellow, Daniel Greenfield.
I feel like I should be wrestling right now.
And the crowd is going wild. Daniel, welcome to the Glazov Gang.
It's great to be back with such a resounding welcome.
Okay.
I'm not going to wrestle anybody tonight.
Shillman Fellow at the David Horowitz Freedom Center, the editor of the blog The Point at frontpagemag.com, a prominent intellectual, a gentleman and a scholar, and many other things. Did I leave anything out, Daniel?
Tipper.
Pardon?
Tipper.
Okay.
Occasionally tipple.
Okay, do you want to explain that for our audience?
To drink.
Okay, all right. Daniel, before we begin, I see that the hat is still going strong. An update on the hat.
Well, my wife insisted on bringing the hat. I was already over the hat, but my wife said, you can't do this without the hat. I mean, the hat can do it without you, but you can't do it without the hat.
Okay, Daniel, I don't want to cause any problems with you. We're good friends. You're a great guest. But your narratives, sometimes they're a little bit suspect. A while back, you were saying that your wife opposed the hat.
Yes, she started out opposing the hat, then she was won over by the hat, because it's impossible to resist the hat.
And now she's more pro-hat, and you're a little bit losing inspiration with it, right?
Exactly, but these kinds of things happen in political dynamics.
Okay. All right, I would love to talk about the hat the entire episode, but let's get to the serious issues of our time. What a great blog you had at The Point, just like all your other blogs. But man, I really like this one. Jimmy Carter endorses John Bolton pick, and it's because he opposes it. So very clever, and we're going to get to that. But let's go back a little bit and start from the beginning. Wow, what a great appointment by Donald Trump. Let's begin with what a disaster McMaster was as a national security advisor.
Well, I was leading the anti-McMaster parade. McMaster was a complete disaster in every possible way, shape, or form, not just foreign policy, where, of course, he was absolutely terrible. He was an apologist. He was an appeaser. He was in bed with the Brotherhood. But just on domestic policy, he was obstructing the entire investigation into the unmasking, into the eavesdropping on President Trump. And he was protecting Obama holdovers or firing the people who were actually on board with President Trump's agenda. So he was a complete and utter disaster in every possible way, shape, or form. And the firing is belated, good riddance. Bolton coming in is absolutely fantastic. This is a guy who's been firing on all cylinders. Under the Bush administration, he just did not have the ability to get done what he needed to get done. He did not have support from the Bush administration. Here, he actually would have the support to do it because his foreign policy worldview was in tune with President Trump's. So this is absolutely fantastic. His hour has come. The hour of populist American foreign policy has come.
It's such a relief because, look, we were worried there for a while. McMaster, the jihad denier, getting rid of all great people like Richard Higgins, keeping all those Obama holdovers, and very much in line with the Muslim Brotherhood agenda, as we know. And now we've got John Bolton, who has shown all indications that he wants to make a real threat assessment in terms of what we're facing. He's tough on Iran, et cetera, fantastic. And it just shows that Trump really does see and understand what really needs to be done to save the West in America. And another great thing was that he got rid of Tillerson as Sec of State and brought on Mike Pompeo, correct?
Yeah, that's also another fantastic move. So, we actually have a Secretary of State, we have a National Security Advisor who get it when it comes to the Muslim Brotherhood, who get it when it comes to Iran, who get it when it comes to Israel. And really, we've had nothing like that in American history. So right. It's a historic moment.
Absolutely. Just fantastic news. And we're going to be praying that Bolton can do a good house cleaning over there, right?
That is a very key point. It's very urgent because, Trump has brought in people, some of them are good people, but you actually have to know how to control the bureaucracy. You actually have to know which levers to push. You have to know who to move in and how to move them out, because the government is its own entity. And a lot of people from outside come in with good intentions and they just get taken for a ride. And, if you look at just the attacks that have been aimed at Bolton from the professionals, what they keep saying is that he does know how to do all this. That's what makes him such a threat. If they just brought in somebody who had a lot of the right ideas but didn't understand how to run the bureaucracy, he wouldn't be nearly as much of a threat. This is why they're panicking.
And look, whoever's panicking reveals who's good. So, for instance, that's what we're going to get to. But let's even start with you, for example. Daniel, for instance, you've been attacked and slandered among many groups, but I think you've got the wonderful compliment of being attacked by the Southern Poverty Law Center, no?
I did. They at one point listed me as a one-man hate group, apparently. Of course, they also listed a bar sign outside a bar in Pennsylvania as a hate group. So the thing about the Southern Poverty Law Center is their research is none too good, but yes, they did list me as a hate group. Recently, I think they actually delisted me. They started delisting individuals as hate groups because, their research had actually gotten to the part of the dictionary. They looked up the definition of groups and they realized that one person cannot be a group. So this is really some really advanced research for a $250 million organization.
Absolutely. Well, look, we know that the SPLC pretends it's looking at hate groups when it actually is a hate group. So when we've got a hate group that hates Daniel Greenfield, then we know that Daniel Greenfield is a hero and doing something right. Look, I'll just stop here for a sec. I am so proud of our producer at the Glazov Gang, Daniel, Annie Cyrus. She's being attacked by CARE. I mean, can you get a bigger compliment than that? Makes it obviously she's doing the right thing. Now she's being attacked by the Southern Poverty Law Center. So Annie, thank you so much. I know that we've got a hero leading the Glazov Gang. Correct, Daniel? These are great compliments when our TV producer is being attacked by CARE and SPLC, right?
Absolutely, yes. So the honor, Annie, is actually catching fire, which means that she's actually having an impact, because when these people come after you, it means that they're worried about you. Right.
Now, so what I'm getting to here is Bolton gets appointed a national security advisor. Iran denounces it. The Islamic Republic of Iran denounces this. So Trump, you obviously did something right. We know that CARE denounced it, the Muslim Brotherhood Front Group. Great indicators, right, Daniel?
Mm-hmm. And North Korea is not too happy because North Korea back in the day banned Bolton from negotiations under the Bush administration and called him human scum. Now they're going to have to deal with him as national security advisor. They are none too happy. When little Kim went there to have his little conference in China, I'm sure the issue of Bolton came up.
Right. So look, what a compliment. Iran's upset. Muslim Brotherhood front groups are upset. North Korea's upset. And now, if there was any doubt at all, Jimmy Carter is upset. That's what your blog was about. Tell us why Carter being upset means that the Bolton pick is just perfect.
Yeah. President Jimmy Carter, a truly great American, the guy who got every single foreign policy wrong as he could possibly get it, the guy who sold us out to Iran, said that Bolton's pick is really the worst move that Trump has ever made. With Jimmy Carter, you take the review as the anti-review. When Jimmy Carter says something is bad, it must be really good. When he says something is good, it must be bad, because Jimmy Carter is just a complete and utter disaster. This is the guy who went around thinking that Bill Clinton was being too hard on North Korea. This is the guy who's overtly pro-Hamas. This is the guy who's our national security advisor was the guy who made the Greenbelt strategy happen, who created the Islamic Republic of Iran in the first place, who decided to create all these Islamic entities as a barrier against the Soviet Union. This is the guy who's responsible for much of the terrorist problem that we face today. And this is the guy who's saying that Bolton is a bad pick. You couldn't ask for a better endorsement.
Well, like you said in your blog, it is the ultimate seal of approval. Look, I'll just say I was a very little kid at the time. My parents were dissidents in the former Soviet Union. We were in America. And I remember under Carter, especially 1979, Sandinistas take over Nicaragua. Soviets invade Afghanistan. We lose Iran. Carter betrays the Shah, rips the rug from under his feet. Khomeini comes into power. We were so sad in our family. And then in 1980, Ronald Reagan came into power after Jimmy Carter. Exciting time, right? But I don't think, you're too young to remember that time, but you know about it in the history books, right, Daniel?
It's an amazing moment. You know, I think we've had a bit of an amazing moment like that with the Obama to Trump transition. Just when the hour seems darkest, just when you have a leader who embraces every single enemy, who tells Americans that it's hopeless, that their country is going down the tubes, that they just need to wake up and accept this bleak and future in which America has no real place, you have the complete opposite of that. So at the time of greatest darkness, you have the greatest burst of light.
Right. Okay, so look, let's just crystallize this. So as you write, Carter says that picking Bolton is the worst mistake that Trump has made. So it probably means that it's the best decision Trump has made yet, right?
No question about it. You know, Carter is absolutely right if you just know how to read him backward. It's much like Pravda. With enemy propaganda, what they tell you is exactly what it means to be read backward.
Right. Now, look, it's incredible. Has Carter ever apologized, for instance, for pulling the rug from under the feet of the Shah? Because all of that actually sparked this whole Islamic supremacist emboldening and led to this tidal wave of the Islamic movement, right? I mean, that was a turning point. Has Carter ever apologized for that? Oh, wait, why would a Hamas supporter apologize for that? What do you think?
Well, you know, the funny thing about guys like Carter and Obama, they spend a lot of time apologizing for America, but they never apologize for anything that they do. It's always America's fault. It's always somebody else's fault. But nothing that they do is ever their fault. And it seems like that personality complex is interlinked to the blame America first complex.
Daniel, your blog is very wise because you make another good point. Brilliant point, as all your points. But look, Carter is criticizing Trump for his national security advisor pick. This is a guy who had as his national security advisor Zbigniew Brzezinski, who was responsible, as you write, for one major disaster after another in foreign policy. Tell us about that.
Well, as I mentioned before, Zbigniew Brzezinski was the guy who came up with the Greenbelt strategy. The Greenbelt strategy was supposed to restrain the Soviet Union by creating this belt of Islamic terror states that would ward off the Soviet Union. Now, obviously, this did some damage to the Soviet Union. It ended up doing a lot more damage to the West and to Western civilization in general. You can actually trace a path from that to September 11th. So Iran's nuclear development, that's on Zbigniew Brzezinski's doorstep. For that matter, the Taliban and so much else. This entire idea that we're going to be able to use Islam to ward off Russia has been a complete, utter, and unambiguous disaster. It's been an utter and unambiguous disaster for everybody involved because it emboldened the terrorists. And it kind of repeated the history because if you look back at the original rise of Islam, you had the Persian Empire and you had Byzantium just going at each other. And Islam waited and it crept in and it brought both of them down. So we really do not want to repeat that particular piece of history.
So who do you think's a better national security advisor for America? Bolton or Brzezinski?
Well, I think as a third candidate, it might be the rabbit, the giant rabbit that attacked Jimmy Carter, according to him, who jumped into his boat. Yeah, Jimmy Carter told the story about a giant rabbit jumping into his boat and attacking him. So I think that actually rabbit might be a better national security advisor than Zbigniew Brzezinski.
It's just incredible that people like Jimmy Carter are still talking. But Obama's still talking. And what I mean by that is, after all of their disasters, just the shamelessness and still coming forward and thinking that they can criticize people that love America and want to defend America. Daniel, who's the worst ex-president, Obama or Carter?
Well, Carter is definitely in the lead, but I think Obama would have some opportunities to catch up, especially give him another 8 years to continue doing his post-presidential tour. And, you know, he could catch up. But my money's on Hillary Clinton. I mean, she was never president, but she's really having the worst possible post-presidential career nonetheless. It's actually really amazing. It's breaking a lot of glass ceilings. She was never president, yet she's doing an endless post-presidential tour complaining about everybody and everything. She may have been a complete failure at getting elected president, but she's really a huge success as a non-president.
Okay, Daniel, before we go, I just want to say, I don't want to put you on the spot, but several of our viewers pointed this out, and some people on our staff have pointed it out. You are always brilliant when you're not wearing the hat. But when you're wearing the hat, your answers are especially genius. Is there something behind this? We're starting to think that there's something in that hat.
There is a bit of a transmitter under the hat. It's actually Russian in origin because everything is Russian in origin now. And, you know, I get answers directly from Putin.
The Glazov Gang is colluding with Putin. That's the new thing, right? Daniel Greenfield, always an honor and a pleasure to have you here.
My honor and my pleasure, and my hat's pleasure as well.
Awesome. And we're waiting for the day when you'll be interviewed on CNN and MSNBC. Will that ever happen?
Oh, I'm sure, right after Hell Freeze is over.
We'll see you soon. Thank you, Daniel.
Have a good night.
Thank you for joining the Glazov Gang this evening. Please remember, we're a fan-generated program. If you like what we do, please support us at jamieglazov.com. And the least you can do is press subscribe and that bell right by it for instant notifications on YouTube. Good night.